BA Semester 3 Optional English British Literature Victorian and Modern. This session will have a little on modern poetry. Modernity is something slightly difficult to define, and we actually don't know where exactly the modernity begins. So here we have Charles Baudelaire, the poet, French poet, who first used the term modernity, describing a response to life in his essay, The Painter of Modern Life. Modernity for him was fashionable, fleeting, transitory, contingent in art, fugitive. It is something exactly in opposition to the eternal and immutable. According to critics, it is termed to describe a way of living and experiencing life which had arisen with the changes brought in by ravages unprecedented. So here we have industrialization and urbanization. There was a paradigm shift here from the kind of life people had been leading to something that changed their life completely with industrialization and urbanization. The above mentioned processes involve total breakdown and rebuilding. So, literature produced during that period is seen as one of not just change but also crisis. Crisis because there was a new kind of change people had to adapt, and in the process, they had to face lot of problems and issues. Modernism, it is a response by artists and writers, several developments like war, technological change, new philosophical systems, so and so forth. So artists in their own way started responding to the ill effects of war and also the technological change. Widespread disillusionment was the result of industrialization and urbanization, with prevalent models of the individual and the social. And also, disillusionment was triggered by new outlook of the world initiates by Charles Darwin, Karl Marx, Sigmund Freud, more of which we shall be reading further. Marx, Darwin, Freud, and other influences. These influences initiated a transformation in the Western world. Transformation was triggered by reinterpretation, radically altering the entrenched ideas of what constituted social, the individual, and the natural. Transformation was further accelerated by First World War, which signaled the demise of many institutions and beliefs. So it was very difficult for people to not accept the new change, which further led to disillusionment. Deeply entrenched class system of European society was violently shaken by growth of trade unions and the rise of the Labour Party. So here we could mm, talk a little about Cherry Orchard too, which is part of the syllabus. Further, people's faith in king, country, patriotism, loyalty, and duty was demolished in the carnage of war. Patriarchal hegemony was challenged as women went to work out of willingness, or they were forced to work to run the family. All said and done, women had to go out for work, and in a way, the patriarchal hegemony started mm, having less of a hold on women, with weapons of mass destructions and its usage always looming large. It seemed absurd to celebrate noble ideas like human dignity in art and firm faith in progress. And this is where the artists express their opinion, or rather their response to in their own way. Two other important influence, both foreign to Britain, determine the course of modernist poetry: symbolism and imagism. What exactly is this symbolism? It's an art movement that flourished in France of 1880 and 90s, intended to be a reaction against realism and impressionism. Baudelaire's Flowers of Evil ushered the movement. Well-known exponents of this mode of poetry: Arthur Rimbaud, Stéphane Mallarmé, Paul Verlaine, and Paul Valéry. Symbols are emblems of the actual world. These symbols acquire a supernatural significance in their works. It was a reaction to practice of objective recording of nature, impressionism. Symbolist poets feel the need to express a reality beyond what is understood by sight, notably the spiritual aspects, allusions, and ambiguities inherent in mere sight. Idea is that reality we see is but a poor copy of the world of ideal forms. Okay, so this actually means that we need to decipher, or we need to learn more about the hidden meanings and translate them into sensitive forms, or it's as simple as reading between the lines. Imagism, the second major influence on British modern poetry. It came from Anglo-American Imagism, dry, contemplative, intellectual, and allusive poetry. Reading poems of Ezra Pound and T.S. Eliot will give us an idea of what exactly Imagism is all about. The idea of the image was influenced by the Japanese haiku and French symbolist poetry, aimed at achieving clarity of expression through the use of precise visual images. Images wrote succinct verse of dry clarity. It had a hard outline in which an exact visual image made a total poetic statement. Symbolism has an affinity with music, while imagism sought analogy with sculpture. Stream of consciousness method is another important influence. The term was borrowed from the book The Principles of Psychology by William Jones. It is a narrative mode. It seeks to portray the individual's point of view by giving the written equivalent of the character's thought processes, either in a loose interior monologue or in connection to his or her actions. Exponents of stream of consciousness: James Joyce, Ulysses; Virginia Woolf, Mrs. Dalloway, The Waves; William Faulkner, The Sound and the Fury; Dorothy Richardson, Pointed Roofs; Marcel Proust, Remembrance of Things Past; Samuel Beckett, The Unnameable; Fyodor Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment; Toni Morrison, Beloved; T.S. Eliot, Love Song of Alfred J. Prufrock; and Wasteland. Another side of stream of consciousness: most modern literature is obscure and difficult to understand. Complexity is due to the fact that stream of consciousness writing is meant to reflect the nature of the human psyche. Human thoughts often follow no logical sequence. More or less, most of the time, they hardly follow any logical sequence. They jump from one subject to another. Hence, the juxtaposed ideas, the fragments of thought and sentence, lack of punctuation and stream of consciousness, and the complexities involved in understanding it. Modern poetry. There is a small recap: predominantly intellectual, cerebral in appeal, not emotive, Chiefly, imagistic involves symbolism, often private in nature, full of allusions and intertextual references, impersonal, anti-romantic, innovative in attitudes and approach to life, lexically, semantically, and grammatically challenging, opts for free verses and various experimental forms. With this, we come to the end of this session. Thank you.